So, what we're doing here tonight, to recap, is talking about what is the best way for you to figure out what it is you want to print and where it is you should be selling it. As we're saying, there's a lot of people who like to chase what's popular, or even people like going after flexi dragons and stuff like that. Like people are selling that, I should be selling that. Unfortunately, when you get in that situation, you're not bringing anything to the table that they can't get somewhere else. As such, it becomes a race to the bottom because the only way you can compete is on price. And that's not a battle that anybody is ever going to win. So, what you really need to do is you need to figure out a way that you can sell something that either other people aren't selling, or that you can do somehow, some way. There's a way that you can do it better than everyone else. And if you can find a way to do it bigger, better, and better, then that's really how you're going to win there. Um, I did a video not too long ago where I showed this box, and I was talking about this woman is doing this, has a business. She's not technical. She's not super. She's not an idiot. She's a smart, savvy person, but living in the middle of nowhere, Montana, and she started a business with her 3D printer. And if she can do that, you've got no excuse. You find a product, come up with a way to approach a market, and deliver that product at a reasonable price and create your business. And unfortunately, what I got from that was hundreds of people going, "Hey, can I get the files for that box?" Again, I don't own the files for this. You have to buy them. I don't know where you buy them. That was a thing that she did. Don't try copying other people's stuff. I showed this box here, which has my silver coins in it. People are like, "Oh, I want to buy that and sell that." You need to figure out what it is that you can do better than anyone else. All right. Not trying to latch on to something that somebody else has or has done. Um, and and there's these two circles. You have to look at them. You have to look at the first circle is your um your passions. Okay. What you're passionate about. And then the second part is what you know about, what you know more than the average bear about. Where those two meet is where you need to be targeting. Because if it's something you know a lot about, but you may not be passionate about it anymore. I burn out on stuff all the time. I know there's a ton of stuff I know about, but I don't want to sit there and coach people on how to do it. It's not where my current passion lies. So if I target that, I'm just going to get burned out again. Okay. And if it's something I'm passionate about, like I'm really excited about, but I'm not that good at it, and we've all been there, you get into something like, this is really cool, I want to do it, but you're a noob. Maybe you shouldn't be the one who's trying to sell products and fixing solutions for other people. Maybe you can pull it off. Me, I'm not going to be the one that jumps into that. Okay. And the issue here is, and I get a lot of people then who email me, and I want to help everyone, but they email me going, what should I sell and where should I sell it? I can't answer that for you. I can help you if you give me information, but I literally had people going, I'm trying to get started. What 3D printer should I buy? What should I sell? And where should I sell it? And that's going to be different for me, for you, for everyone else, because so much of it is going to be, because that's the third circle, is where do you sell it? And that has to do with what markets are accessible to you. I have markets that you can't approach. Okay. There's going to be a swap meet for the local car club. Okay. Now you may be able to find your own car clubs, but the person who lives in Alabama is unlikely to drive up here to Montana to sell products at the swap meet. Okay. So hold on. So you have to gather all these circles together and see where the overlap is. for me, the first product I sold that we developed was socket trays. And you can go to my website, denoftools.com, all one word, den of tools. And you can see the socket trays that we sell. And the reason being is A, I'm a subject matter expert when it comes to tools. I understand the tool industry. I'm still passionate about tools, and I like helping people finding solutions for problems. I saw there was a problem. There was a really popular set of sockets out there, but no one was making socket trays for them. So I was the first one to step into that gap and make dedicated socket trays that you could buy online. Okay. And that's my market. I approached online, but I even niched down on that market. I didn't just like throw it on eBay. I didn't put it up on Etsy and hope people browse past my Etsy stall. I target it with my YouTube channel. And that's the only advertising we've done. Is we mention it every so often on YouTube. I've put out one video on it and one short, and that was 4 months ago at this point. So that's it. I did the 2 videos 4 months ago, and then every so often in one of my videos, I'll put what we call an insert where I'll talk about it for 60 to 90 seconds. And that's how we generate our sales. And if you've been following the channel and seeing, hey, what are the sales for the print ranch and stuff, that's where those sales come from. But that's my overlap is subject matter expert. It's something I'm passionate about, and I have a market that's available to me. You have to then figure out where that works for you, and that's going to be different for everyone. Let me take a look at the comments real quick. I am seeing the comments coming through. It's probably going to be a bit delayed because I'm having to watch them as they get published. So I don't get the instant ones because YouTube. Anyway, I'll have to play around with my YouTube settings. Again, it's been a long time since we've done a live stream. Maybe you forgot how this works. It's been a minute. Yeah, well, it certainly has been a minute. Yes, I can see you now. Sparked me to look at printing similar boxes, but not to sell, just to learn and improve my game. And I'm working on boxes as well. So I found out somebody had sent me this box that I had developed, and I looked around and I saw there's other boxes just like this. And there's questions about who really designed them first and whatnot. But I'm like, you know what? I can design my own stuff. So I got to reach in the trash because that's where I just printed my first version of a similar box, and we just printed it in PLA just to see how it would work, and working on the latch design. We're going with a single latch, using like the ball detent kind of version there for the hinge. And I printed it in PLA, which is not as flexible, so I can't get it to sit. It's going to snap or something like that. But this is the first box. And this box, what we're going to do with this is I've got it hollowed out, and we're going to have then a tray insert that you can then modify. And if you want to do coins, you can do coins. If you want to do, something else, you can do something else. But the idea is that this we'll be giving this out, and you'll be able to modify it and then make and sell whatever it is you want to sell it in, or what it's for, whatever your niche is. So still working on it. And as soon as we get that perfected, I will have this out. But if you in the comments, if you want some help with this, tell me this. Tell me 3 things you're passionate about and 3 things you're knowledgeable about. And then we'll take it from there and figure out what it is you could be selling. John says, went to a mini Comic-Con at a local mall today. Tables filled with Flexi Dragons, none moving off the tables. The Flexi Dragons are done. But let's talk about this. Comic-Con. You're going to a Comic-Con, and there's tons of stuff you could be selling. Sell stuff that's relatable. You could make, and there's questions with intellectual property. Somebody just asked me this before, and especially with stuff like this, because you go to a Star Wars con or something like that, and the first thought is I could make and sell, lightsabers or blasters and stuff like that. And then people are like, well, those are intellectual property on that, and you could be told, no, you can't sell them, depending on the rules of the con. Or it could be a case of an unlikely that an IP holder would come after you, like somebody who was it, Disney, I guess, owns Star Wars these days. Disney might come after you. You look at that mouse bad, just wrong little side eye there, he'll come after you. He's not a nice mouse. But the but honestly, for most people, the smaller, smaller tables, the guys off to the side who aren't selling millions of dollars of the stuff, they usually don't have a problem with it. But there's nothing to stop you from taking, the blaster. Like Han Solo's blaster was, I believe it was like a Luger or the South African, version of it with a cone put on the end, some other stuff. There's nothing stopping you from doing the same thing with other firearms that are out there. You could go out and take what are those, the Czech ones or some of the Russian ones, and do the same thing. Literally do the same thing and turn it into a space con, kind of weapon, and sell those. You can have all sorts of fun doing that. You can make all sorts of different helmets and stuff like that. So there's a ton of stuff you could do if you have access to that con and you have knowledge in that genre, the comic book and movie genre. That just seems like a no brainer. Now the issue is learning. A lot of people, that's the next thing that comes up is, well, how do I design them? Currently, I use Tinkercad for my designs. I'm in the process of teaching myself. Was it Fusion? Used to be called Fusion 360, and I've gotten started. I'm actually doing it, but it's a process. It's like learning a new language. It's a big step from Tinkercad to Fusion. So bear with me, as it were. Let's see what else we got. Mike says, I'm planning to get into printing this year with a two-prong approach. You're going to flank them. That's a great idea. Always flank them. One, to complement my existing reselling business. Great. The other one focused on useful things for folks in the field I work in all the time. That's a fantastic idea, because, and I was just, somebody emailed me the other day. He said, hey, should I be making this? And they're called practical prints, things that people make that could actually have use. Like case in point, I printed and designed and printed this handle for my mug. It's a, I'm not gonna take it out. I got really wedged in there. It's my Bucky's mug, which I love. But this thing's pretty big. I got big bear paws. This thing's still pretty big. When it's full with ice and soda and stuff, it's kind of hefty. And I noticed I was getting kind of an ache in my thumb from having to grab it like this. And I see my wife with her 40 ounces, a 30 ounce, her 40 ounce, she got her little handle. I'm like, I need a handle. I'm like, well, I'll buy a 40 ounce. I'm like, I don't want something that big. And the handle's kind of small. And I'm like, wait, I make stuff. And then as I was about to design it, I went online, found somebody else who designed one, and I tried that, and it was pretty good, but the handle was still a little small, not perfect for me. I'm like, okay, I can do this myself. So I sat down and I designed this. I could probably sell this. In fact, I've got one on my table. I'm going to be trying to see if I can sell it to swap meet tomorrow. I'll take my mug. People will see this. They'll see the one on the table like, oh, I've got a tumbler like that. I'm going to buy that. All right. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's probably not something I'm going to make a ton of money with, but it's a lot better than Flexi Dragons or Flexi Sharks. I printed that for my daughter. Excuse me. The dry air up here in Montana in the winter just kills me. This video not brought to you by caffeine. Actually, it's brought to you by caffeine. Anyway, so this guy, he's like, I can do the practical prints. And the other thing is, I want to do this artistic, kind of like a jewelry kind of thing. I don't want to spoil what he's doing because he's doing it. But the one thing is, I'm like, look, on one solution, you're solving a problem. On the other one, you're creating a piece of art. And I love art as much as the next person, but it's highly subjective. And basically what you're doing is it's a scratch off and seeing if you've hit the zeitgeist with your art. If people like it, it can fly off the shelves. If they don't, nobody's going to buy it. But if it's a thing that fixes a solution, tons of people will buy it. I could probably sell these. Anybody have any idea what this is? So I've got a desk, don't we all? And I've got, unlike a lot of people, because I'm a content creator, I've got wires everywhere. There's a light over here. There's a light over there. There's a light up here. There's a microphone. There's a camera. Here's a camera. There's a monitor. There's another camera. And I got all these wires going everywhere. And most of them I've got nicely, well, ishly, uh, tucked over on the back of my desk. But there are some that keep wanting to fall down behind the back of my desk. And I put my feet up and I catch my feet on the cables and I try to rip things down. Real pain in the fuzzy behind doesn't work. This, I measured the size of my desk and I made this so that it slides right on the desk. And then this gives you area to pass cables through, or you can pinch cables because there's a little relief cut here. I don't know if you can see how it is. So I can put cables in here. I can put cables in here. This is great because it makes it easy to pull it on and off. This thing took me in Tinkercad about 20 minutes to design. And this isn't, and the reason this one's not being used is because I found that this is the exact, just kind of like what happens is when it pushes on, it presses this open and it kind of wants to shove it off. So I took it, cut it in half, pivoted each of the sides in like one degree, and then filled it in. So now the one that's actually being used, I'm pointing over there because it's over on the other side of my desk actually being used. It's actually kind of pinched in like this. So when you put it on, you have to wedge one side and then the other, and it grabs it. And it's not going to let go, and it's not going to push itself off. It's going to clamp onto it. And because I print it in PETG rather than PLA, PLA is very stiff, doesn't like to flex. PETG, it's got a good amount of flex to it. See that? And it's not going to break. Strong, resilient, won't break. PETG, you can even hear it. You can tell that doesn't have much flex, despite the flexiness of the design. The print, the plastic itself, has literally no flex in it. So if I wanted to start a store online selling, hey, things for your desk, I could probably do it. What I would do is I would go out and I'd pick like who makes the most popular desks out there. Flexi Spot is a big one. You see tons of people on YouTube talking about Flexi Spot desks. I've got one over there, and I got one somewhere else. They're fantastic. I absolutely love them. And it's right there. And I highly recommend it. But you know, you could make different ones for different desks and different widths and all that kind of stuff. And you could, and you don't have any inventory. You can just, as soon as somebody orders it, order it. Now, here's what you do. You don't sell one of these because you can't sell this for enough to really justify it. So maybe print these in 4 or 8 packs. You got to figure out where the money value is. Find a way to puff it up. And that's why maybe get 2 of these and a little hook and a holder for your headphones and sell it as a set for, $30. At that point, it's worth your while. All right. Let me go back through some of the comments here real quick. Rich says, product placement, Bear. For those of you who don't know, some people call me Bear, some people call me Red, some people call me Jeff. The reason is our mascot on my main channel was Ursus Mechanicus. That's the great North American tool bear. His name was Red. So I get all of it. So if you're wondering why people say that, if you're not coming over from the main channel, that's why. Anyway, he says, product placement, Bear, taking a drink using the Big Bear handle. Feel free to use the name. It's yours. Nice. Big Bear handle. I like it because it is. It's my wife picked it up. I'm like, what do you think? I wanted that kind of approval. She's like, I don't like it. It's too big. I'm like, well, of course, she's 5'5", I'm 6'2". I got the big old bear paws. So that's what you're going to get. All right. The German broom handle pistol. Yes. That talking about what the pistol was. You're right. It wasn't a Luger. It was the old broom handle. The reason I called that is the handle literally looked like it was off an old school whisk style broom. And that's the blaster that Han Solo had. If you have a problem and no one else can help and you can find them, maybe you can hire. That's a good point. And that's actually what I was getting to with the other thing, which is if you can't design it, if you got this idea and stuff and you have problems designing, you can hire people to design. There's a great website called Fiverr. Great. It's a little sketchy. It's like, buying drugs in a back alley kind of deal. I kid you not. Not that I would know what that's like. But let me come back here and see if you can see it. There's the logo right there for the my other channel. Let me see if I have anything with. Oh, here we go. Here's a hat with my logo. For those of you who haven't seen it, it's a bear with a wrench in his teeth, and I'm pretty proud of that logo. I think it's a pretty good logo. I came up with the logo. I figured out the design. I cannot draw to save my life. My handwriting is terrible. I can't draw. I can't do a circle. None of it. I am not an artist. But if you give me a computer and some CAD and maybe a T square and stuff, I can whip up all sorts of stuff. I need that assistance. All right. But so what I did was I napkin sketched the concept. All right. What it was, I was looking around and I'd seen like, hey, what about like a sports logo? I like that kind of gives you that kind of team attitude. And I was looking around and I saw a bulldog with a bone in his mouth. And I went, what about a bear with a wrench in his mouth? It's a tool channel, right? And so I went on Fiverr, found somebody who specialized in doing logos for sports teams, like fake sports teams, and went back and forth, like had 4 or 5 emails. And he's like, all right, I got it. Let me see. And I think I paid, I think it was like $65 or something, and got that design. And I absolutely love it. I think it's a fantastic design. I get compliments on it, all the time. But again, I had the concept. I had the problem, found the solution, but I couldn't implement it. So I outsourced it. And online outsourcing is a great solution. There's tons of people online who could do this. So I would say you should learn some CAD, at least understand Tinkercad. That'll let you do the basics. You can get minimalist products out, all this, the box I showed you, the trays, the socket trays, all that done in Tinkercad. Okay. But this handle done in everything you see on my Maker World, all of it done in Tinkercad. Okay. But the more aesthetically pleasing kind of designs that you'll see out there, you're going to need something like a real CAD software to go with to do that. All right. Anyway, the Matthew says hi from Germany. Hey, what part of Germany? I'm from Heidelberg myself. The ever sell prints made with PLA or just ASA or PETG? Currently, I just do PETG. All right. I don't have a need for the ASA. All right. I am working with a printer right now and I've got ASA in it. I'm going to be doing some ASA stuff just for the video, the review. I'm reviewing the new, I guess I can talk about it. Anycubic sent me their S1 Max printer. And I can tell you right now, I'm impressed. And I'll do a whole thing about why I'm impressed with this and wasn't impressed with the Elegoo Centauri Carbon 2. I was impressed with the Centauri Carbon 1, and at sub $300, I still think it's one of the best single color printers out there. But the Centauri Carbon 2, I'm not a fan of. I don't think it fixes any solutions. The S1 Max fixes solutions. All right. So what camera is this? I'm going to disappoint you there. This is the Sony FX30 rocking the Sigma was it 16 millimeter lens. So it's an excessively expensive camera for YouTube. You can get by with a lot less. I'll tell you what, I film only in 1080p. I know there's a lot of people who do 4K, and the one I'm looking at right now as a good budget option is you can buy a refurbished or lightly used Leica. I think it's the G1. It's a micro 4/3 that will do clean HDMI out at 1080. Won't do 4K. And you can get a Leica lens that's the 22 millimeter at 1.7, I think it is. That's the equivalent to the Sigma that I'm using. And you can get really close kind of color. And that combination is going to be, I think it's $600 for the camera and $200. So you're like $800. And you can get essentially the same thing that I have here. I went with the FX30 because it's got a built-in fan and it's just future-proofing myself on YouTube. Anyway, sorry, a little tangent there. But anyway, did I answer the other one? Ever sell prints made with PLA? I don't sell PLA. My issue with PLA is that PLA is it's strong, but it doesn't take impact well. It's hard but brittle, soft but not strong. That's the spectrum you work on. So it's strong but not as impact resistant as PET G. It's also not UV resistant. PET G is, and it's not chemical or temperature resistant, which PET G is greater than this. Now you could go with ASA, but I found that most people don't need ASA for socket trays and for all the other stuff that I sell. If I were to sell stuff that goes in a car, and here's why I will say this: I would skip ABS. Everyone's going to say ABS. I would skip ABS and go straight to ASA. ASA is basically ABS plus. I don't see any reason to use ABS. Maybe you can tell me where I'm wrong on that, but I would go straight to ASA. So if you're using stuff that's going to be used in a car, which turns into a hot box in the summer in the sun, even up here in Montana, and will melt most 3D products, ASA will do just fine. So John says, I took to Tinkercad right away. It works the way I think. I start with a basic shape, I add to it and modify it as needed. I get frustrated with the real CAD programs. I am exactly the same way. Tinkercad works like Legos. Only if you could imagine if you could like build something with Legos and then create a negative Lego and put it in there and then cause the whole thing to join, and then you have a hole where that negative Lego went. That's the way Tinkercad works. It's fantastic. As you state, Fusion is another language, and all the 360 software, 360 the CAD softwares are. Got Fusion 360 stuck in my head. Offer to customize your cup handle with the customer's name on the side. Personalization is a great seller. He's not wrong. And if you're dealing with the market, that would be a great option, is to put, you could find a way like right here. Okay, let me take this thing off. I'm going to get sewed up. Oh, I'm also pushing the wrong direction. So it prints in this orientation, all right? But you could put a relief in here, and I've done it like I did that same relief with this, as long as it's not too deep. I think this is like 1.5 or 2 millimeters deep, so it handled that relief pretty well. And this was printed on, I think it was a P1S. It might have been what I think it might have been one of the H series. I don't know. I've printed on, I have so many. So, but you've got this flat surface right there. I could put someone's name. I could put a logo. You can put it down the back. That would be harder for it to do. Doing it vertically is more difficult for the 3D printer. I've seen one like the first one, excuse me, that I downloaded actually said Yeti right across here. And I, of course, removed that because this is a Yukon. Gotta love that. Anyway, that thing just makes me happy. I mean, it's nothing quite like making something that makes you happy every time you use it. But they're right. Customization is a great way. In fact, if you look at, and that's the other thing to do, look at similar markets and how they're doing things. Laser cutters are a great one. And one of the things that people do at shows is they've got these high-speed laser cutters that they take to the show because they can sell personalized merchandise. Now, with a 3D printer, what you could do is you could take your stuff and be like, hey, if you order it, we'll ship it to you. Or if you're in a local area, deliver it to you within X amount of days. There's no way you're going to be able to 3D print it at the show. So I guess someone wants to stick around. Actually, that print isn't that long. It's like, I think like maybe half an hour or something like that. That's too big. That's what she said. Yes. I have had better drug deals than Fiverr. I've had people try to scam me on Fiverr. I was doing a thing for a friend was opening up a coffee shop. And so I tried to get a logo for the coffee shop made. And the guy look like a great logo. I'm like, I'm really happy with this. And I was about to hit pay on it. And at stop, I should double check this. And so I did a search for clip art. He had taken I did a Google image search and it found it. He had taken 3 different logos from existing brands and just merged them. And they were brands that were not in the United States. One was in Italy, one was in France, and one was in Brazil. And he just taken those 3 and merged them and created one logo. And I'm like, dude, that's copyright infringement. You can't sell this. And he's like, no, 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 you got to pay me. I'm like, I'm not paying. In fact, I'm reporting it. He's like, oh, don't, I have a wife and kids, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, if you got a wife and kids, you do that. You should have tried to scam people. So you do have to be careful on Fiverr. I have had bad interactions, but I've also had some really great ones. Um, don't forget about slicers. I designed storage for a mini square and I did all inside a slicer. There are people who do that, who do all the design inside a slicer. I don't understand them. They're clearly mutants and probably should not be allowed to have children. So I don't get how you guys do that. I mean, I use the slicers for slicing and for optimization. I know there's modifications and stuff you can do in the slicers, other than maybe adding coloring for names and stuff like that. I don't do any of that kind of stuff in the slicer. Any decent recommendations on where and what pet G to buy in bulk? I just did a video on this, and I've got links to it. You can go back. It was like the video before this talking about the big crisis with filament with bamboo. In fact, let me look at the bamboo website. And yep, we're still at, oh, now it's March 10th. It was just saying March 6th. It's now March 10th. So it's going to be a while until the bamboo is an option again. Sorry, but I would look at, and I'm almost to the point where I'm going to have to order more. So I'm going to have to pull the ripcord on that and go with my second option. Basically, Sunlu, Elegoo, Polymaker, eSun is also a good option. Their websites both AI and not that can help convert 2D images to a 3D file. I've had mixed results. Wohawk's not wrong. Whoa. Haha. My chair has a habit of, that little pin in your chair you push in to keep you from tipping back? Mine has a habit of walking out. So every once in a while, I go to sit back and I go way back. It's invigorating. No, the AI conversion thing, I did this really cool thing. And any of you are welcome to take this idea and run with it. Not going to do so well. Maybe you will. So what I did was I took our old house that we had, and I cleaned up the picture and I put it into AI and I said, turn this into a Christmas village house. And it did a great job of it. All right. Actually, first I took it into an AI image generator and it converted the image into it. I wish there was an easy way for me to show you it. I keep it on my desktop. It is such a cute little image. It's got the powdery snow on it. It looks very Christmas villagey. And then I took that and put it into a 2D to 3D AI generator. There is no reason you could not sell these. Talking about customizable, have a website. Will turn your house into a 3D Christmas village in full color. Come the holidays, you wouldn't be able to breathe. You would have so many orders, so many people. You'd have to buy hundreds of 3D printers to keep up. You would be swamped. Now, something you could do the rest of the year, and this is how you do the marketing thing. You reach out to realtors and you go, hey, because realtors always like, anytime they sell a house, they like to give the person who bought the house a gift. And the idea is hopefully when they go to sell the house, they'll get the listing. So, and then they'll also help the person buy the new house. So they're always giving out these gifts. And it's been really popular to give out, nice high-end cutting boards with laser engraving. Screw those laser guys. Do 3D printing. Sell the realtor a 3D model of the house they're selling. Think about it. This could be a sales tool and it could be a gift. Hey, you're sitting in the office. What about this house? Let me show it to you real quick. Reach over and pull out a scale model of that house and set it down. What do you think? That could save them a trip taking the people out to the house. Or it could key them in and be like, yes, that's the house we want. That is an insane idea. Anyway, run with that. I don't have time to do it. You all have fun with it. Anyway, FX30 is legit. Tuba's in the house. Hey, everyone, check out Tuba's Tuba Maker. Tuba makes. He has poor choice in shirts. Like I should talk. But has great information on 3D printing. Um, and especially he runs a print ranch. He does resin printing, which is opposite. I do FDM. That's FDM. For those of you who don't know, it's the plastic like toothpaste. Basically, heats it up, squeezes it out. FDM is a really cool technology that gets you much finer detail and prints faster as well because it prints the entire layer in an instant. All right, it just boom, and it goes up a little bit. Anyway, it's really cool. Check his website, his YouTube channel out. He's a nice guy, really smart. The it Kerbelet. Tell me that's about Kerbal Space Program. I love Kerbal Space Program. If you're predominantly printing with PETG, do you have any filtering methods for the VOC and fumes? So, yes, I do. I have a vent set up to a window to vent outside, but I only use that for really obnoxious stuff. I have and I'm going to do a video on this. So Govee makes this really great combination. They make an air quality sensor and they have a series of air filters and they all work on your Wi-Fi and they all connect to an app on your phone. And the air filter, the air sensor will tell the air filter when the air is really bad and kick it up. So the air filter will automatically ramp up to whatever the air sensor says. And a lot of people don't realize this. The P1S, because let me back up. The air sensor runs off of USB. The P1S has an extra USB port inside of it. And a lot of people don't realize this. It's up at the top, tucked away, hidden. There's a little sticker you got to peel off to get to it. But there's also a little gap at the top where you can hold just for this. You run a USB cable in, over, plugs right into that USB port, plugs into my sensor. So my sensor sets on top next to right in the corner where all my 3D printers are. And in that corner also is my air filter. So my air filter runs and I get updates. It tells me when the air is bad. It tells me if the air is good. That I can hear it kick on when the air gets bad. It turns out so it's not running full speed all the time. It's a great solution. I'm going to do a whole video on that. My thought for PLA is something decorative like a magnet or nameplate, but not for something to be used. And that's a fully reasonable idea to do something like that. My only concern, again, is UV light. And if, it depends on where they're going to put the magnet. If the magnet's going on a toolbox in a garage, probably not a big issue. You'll probably be fine with PLA. I'm probably overthinking it. I usually do, right? Have you tried PCTG? I have tried PCTG. In fact, 3D Fuel, which is based in the Dakotas. I can't remember. I always mix it up whether it's north or south, but it's based in the Dakotas, and they have they came out. They're one of the first ones in the States to supply PCTG, and they sent me a bunch. And I wish I had it here. I printed a bunch of boxes. Because what they came out with was toolbox colors, and they have a yellow that's exactly like DeWalt. They have a blue that's exactly like Cobalt. They have a green that's exactly like Ryobi. They have a red that's exactly like Milwaukee, and they really do color match them. They're great. Basically, PCTG is this. It is PETG plus, and that's fantastic. And for a lot of it, basically, it's more impact resistant, more UV resistant, more heat resistant. It's just PETG, just a little bit better with with turbo, if you would. For those that are old enough to remember the turbo marketing, but it's not cheap. I've not seen it for, like, when I buy PETG, I buy it in refills, 10, 20 rolls at a time. So I'm getting it at, it's like $11 or $12 a roll. That's a 1 kg roll. If you're buying from all the stuff I've seen, it's like 30. All right. If you buy it in bulk, it maybe comes down to like 27, 26. That's still a third, if not more, the price of what I'm paying for PETG high flow from Bamboo. And then on top of that, the PETG high flow from Bamboo has a really nice sateen style finish. And I find that the PETG or the PCTG has a a shinier, plasticier finish. And there's ways you can try to make that better, different temps you can play with and stuff like that. But the other thing is consistency. And as somebody who sells a product, I want one roll to look like the next roll, look like the next roll, look like the next roll. And I have all bamboo printers. So as long as I stay within that whole ecosystem, it's one less thing for me to worry about. Okay. Could you get away with it? Yes. Yes, you probably can. But cost wise, I don't see a reason for what I'm selling to do anything higher. But I've had good quality prints with it. I printed a not quite a 5-gallon bucket. It's more like a 2-gallon bucket. I scaled up a model of a mini bucket. Like the 5-gallon buckets. I scaled it up to fit the full size capacity in my Elegoo Centauri Carbon 1. In fact, if you go and check out my video on the Elegoo Centauri Carbon 1, it might be over on my Denna Tools channel. I could be wrong. But if you go check it out, you can see the trash can I printed, and it works. I use it today. Well, I call it trash can. That's what I use it for. And it was way overkill. Don't print them for actual use, because it's cheaper to buy an actual bucket. ABS has lower density. Did you solve your filament shortage? I'm going to end up ordering some Sunlu here shortly, because I don't think I'm going to get a chance. I've been waiting to see if I could sneak in some of the bamboo, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Let's see here. Jedi Cowboy says, howdy, I'm new to 3D printing. I got my SnapMaker U1 in December, having a blast, but still learning a lot. Found you and really like your videos. Thanks. I just got my SnapMaker. It's still at the house. I have to bring it down. I have to make room. I don't have any room for it. I'm going to have to shuffle some stuff around. As soon as I finish the testing with the Anycubic Cobra S1 Max, I'm going to lay into that SnapMaker. I'm excited to play around with it. Tuba says ABS has higher density, which has some use cases, but ASA is easier to print. Well, there you go. So maybe I haven't flipped. It happens. I do too. I flip reverse stuff all the time. You have to use the notify me button on the bamboo filament. It sends email when it's in stock. I was able to get 10 rolls. I do. I constantly fill them out, and I never get the notifications in time. Bamboo Pet G Black is more satin than most of the rest. It really gives the injection molded vibe. I tried others like Polymaker, and it's too shiny. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. YouTube is cutting the live streams with ads now. It's very annoying. Yes, YouTube is in general very annoying. Tuba says, gonna have to roll through my shirt collection. I'm just giving you a hard time, man. It was a choice. And not to say that I don't have a closet full of similar choices. I've made choices throughout the years. Scotty wins. Hey, Scotty. He said when you left Vegas, you took the heat with you. No, I did not. We had snow yesterday. We got an inch of snow. It is 90% gone now. But at elevation, it's funny because it always works this way. There's Livingston where I live, which is right next. We're on the Yellowstone River here in Montana. And then across the highway, there's these flats. This is where if you guys have seen the mud racing that I'm part of, that's where we do that. And there's a big, long plateau there. And then the mountains start. And literally as soon as the mountain starts, that's the snow line. So unless it's excessively cold, if it's excessively cold, we'll get snow. But if it's just kind of cold and only the mountains getting snow, it's right there. And they draw a line. I can see it from my shop. And it's got to be maybe 100 feet higher in elevation than me. And as long as I've lived here in Livingston, it's always that way. Only the real cold comes down into Livingston where the snow gets us. Otherwise, it stays right at that 100-foot above us elevation. Kerbelet says, new to 3D printing, have a tendency to print without the cover on my H2C due to PTFE tubes wearing. Should I look to get a riser or the cover, or is running with no glass covered okay? Running with no glass is fine if like you're printing PLA. It really is based on if you need the temperature control in the box. Are I print on mine all the time and they rub. I never really have a problem with it. I know a lot of people. Eventually, it will wear through, but so will the filament going through. I've seen PTFE tubes where the filament has pushed its way out right in the middle of the tube because after making that turn so many times, it pushes through it. This guy says, I pre-ordered the Anycubic Cobra X for my first 3D printer. I bought 10 G of 10 kg of PET G for $90. Hope that's a good price. That seems like a pretty good price. And good luck with the Cobra X. The Cobra X is really interesting. I will say this, and Tuba, he watch his video. He did a take on the Centauri Carbon 2. He likes it. But he also says, and correct me if I've got you wrong, that he sees it as a PLA printer. And for me, that makes sense. But why would I need to buy the Centauri Carbon for PLA when I can get the Cobra Max and not have to maintain an AMS system? And then if I want to add an AMS style system, I can add up to 4. I mean, for an entry level sub $300 system, the Cobra X is killing it. You can get 4 colors with no AMS system. So if all you're doing is PLA and PET G, and you don't need that environmental control, and you're also not doing really tall things. If you're doing really tall things, and I guess for Tuba, I know some of the stuff he makes. Some of it's kind of higher. So bed slingers, as things get higher, they don't like going back and forth as much, and you have issues there. So I could see that. But it is really a great tool. I'm not as big a fan of, Creality came out with an A1 clone as well, and that has an AMS style system. And I'm not seeing why would I not just buy the Bamboo at that price? Creality has a habit of abandoning. I'm kind of over Creality at this point. They go through. They have too many options. They go through them too fast. They have terrible supports, parts. It's just Anycubic is they're doing the budget stuff right. All right. Elegoo is, well, I'll say it's going to Elegoo. They're a little hit or miss. I still think the Centauri Carbon 1, if you can get it for sub $300, great system. Great system. And I'm looking forward to other stuff. Bamboo, of course, is killing it. And, Prusa, of course, is borrowing from the creator space and then claiming it as their own. Anyway, let's see where else. Nat Cloney. Sunloop Pet G is very shiny, man. I like it. Glaucons. I don't have my glasses on, so if I screw up your name, I apologize. Have you done anything with resin printing? It seems very different than FDM, and I'm debating getting one. I almost got a resin printer. In fact, I had one sent to me. I've had 2 sent to me, and I ended up giving them away because I looked into everything that goes into resin printing, and I don't want anything to deal with it. It is nasty chemicals, lots of fumes, and then you got to get in there and you got to get the resin off and you got to cure it. You got to talk to Tuba. Go to his channel. He can tell you all about resin printing. It's its own unique niche. It's not for me. The Wohawk says, let's just say Jeff has made choices and seen some things over the years. We don't talk about it anymore. No, Wohawk, we don't. For the Bamboo H2 line, is there a lifespan for nozzles, both left and right? Have you ever done maintenance on the nozzles or just get them replaced? I now have the H2C, the H2S, and the H2D, and I print with them daily as part of my print ranch. So I've got 6. Most of my prints are mainly black with blue coloring, or mainly black with red coloring. So 6 of my printers have 2 spools of black, 2 spools of blue. 3 of my printers have 2 spools of black, 2 spools of red. And then my H series have both. So they're my swing shift. I can print anything on those things. Plus, I have additional AMSs hooked up to them, so I can print other stuff. And then I have my P2S, which has all the weird stuff in it. Um, Plus, it has a second AMS hooked up that has blue and red and 2 blacks in it, so it can swing shift as well. And I've never had to replace a nozzle. I've had one nozzle that was an issue, and that was on an A1, and uh, it just wasn't worth my time to even try and fix. Yes, you can sit there and you can. I work, I make money, I run businesses. I don't have time to futz with nozzles. I'll just throw them away and get a new one. It's not worth my time to mess with. But I know a lot of people who do maintenance. I do keep a brass brush and go in there and brush them. I do on my part of my monthly maintenance. I clean and lube and oil everything. If it's got a gear, it gets if it drives something physically, it gets grease. If it guides something, it gets oil. The nozzle gets brought up to max temperature and then gets a quick brushing. And then I vacuum and dust and then vacuum everything out. And that's my monthly maintenance on all my machines. Cobra X is a good value. I just like the Core XY and the ability to have enclosed chambers. Just nice to have flexibility, but incredibly hard to beat for what, 280? Yeah, I think that you're right on that price. And I will admit, I've said it many a time, I am a enclosed fanboy. My first 3D printer was the DaVinci XY. And this was 12, 14 years ago. And I got it because I'm looking at everyone else with these open frame 3D printers. And I'm like, and they're all complaining like, oh, there's a layer line because a breeze blowed through and this happened or that. I'm like, why don't you enclose these suckers? And then I saw the DaVinci and I'm like, that's perfect. But then it had an issue where they were the first one to be proprietary. You had to use their filament in a cartridge because there was a chip. But then, 5 minutes after that, people hacked it and figured out a way to get around it. And I was able to get a refurbished one off of eBay. This is great. I got a refurbished one off of eBay. I ordered it. They sent it to me. And the back panel arrived broken. So I'm like, hey, this thing's broken. And they refunded me my money and never asked for it back. And I mean, it was just cosmetic. So I got a free 3D printer that I hacked and never had to use their filament with. Anyway, what would be considered a low, medium, and high price per print hour that one can expect with customer design practical products? That is that is something I don't keep in my head. I'm sorry. What I do say is a minimum of $40 a day is what your machine should be making for you in a print ranch. I don't do custom printing for clients. I've had lots of people reach out to me because of this channel, reach out and ask like, hey, can I send you this? Can you print this for me? I've done a few things for viewers just for fun, just to see if I could do it. But people are like, hey, would you print and, I want to sell this. Can I order these from you to sell? And I'm like, no, we don't do that. I don't have time for it. My printers run almost constantly with for the stuff that I sell. I don't have the time or space to do that. Now I am looking to hire an assistant here. I think I'm getting to this point in the YouTube life where I've done everything myself with the help of my family. About once or twice a month, I force the kids to come down and we do a shop cleanup day, and we sweep and carry out trash, and they help me with the maintenance on the printers and stuff like that. And then we spend 2 or 3 hours. And I take them out to dinner and stuff like that, and they still whine and complain about it. Well, yeah, they both do at this point, but they don't complain when Dad spends money on their stuff. Anyway, I'm going to have to hire somebody. I want to see if I can find somebody to be a studio assistant, 3D printing assistant. We'll see how lucky I am with that. And the JDW says, Bear, I'm curious, what plates were you using with your bamboos? I was using textured and smooth OEM. However, I tried the BQ Glacier and my pet G prints fall off the bed when cooled. I've heard great things about the Glacier, and I've not used it. I use the stock OEM plates, the what are they called? The P what are they called? The textured plates. The anyway, I can't remember what they're called. And I did find somebody on Amazon who sells basically an identical plate for $15. And I bought one, and I've been circling it through my print farm, and nobody's been able to tell the difference. So I'm probably gonna buy those a bunch of backup, but I do need to get the. It would be great if I could get my Pet G prints to completely release, because there's no way to automate my print farm and then continue with the next prints with because of how wide and flat my prints are. They won't release easily like that. HGDXT texts you and says, "Hey, hope you're doing well. I'm doing better. Thanks a lot." John says, "My first was a Da Vinci as well." There you go. Step says, "I'm using 3 colors of PET G and an H2C with PLA on the left nozzle for necessary support interface." For those of you who don't know, PET G and PLA don't play well together, but you can use that for your benefit. So say you're printing something in PET G, you can use PLA for supports, and when it's done, and it will support it, but when it's done, it just comes right off. By the way, I found out recently that PET G carbon fiber and was it PET G carbon? It was no PLA carbon fiber and PET G don't mix at all, at all. And I found that out because my wife accidentally loaded a roll of what was a super dark gray. Uh, she thought she was loading bamboo black, and she loaded this, and we print it. And when I print these socket trays, I wish I had one here. There's a 5 millimeters across the bottom is one color, and then it's all black, and then there's 2 millimeters at the top that are the numbers. She printed it, pulled the tray out, and the pieces just slid apart. Excuse me. You should have seen the look on her face. Oh my gosh. Remember, customer printed for clients. If they give you a Fusion 360 file or some other CAD file, you still have to work with them in the slicer to make sure they print good. Yes, you do. H2D, not C. And that's what's really good about the H2D is that it allows you to. That's really where it really comes in. That dual nozzle. The only real use for that is if you're going to print a main color and a support material. Will Hawk says, "If not for the commute, I'd totally be an assistant." I know, man. Yeah, but you get to live in Iowa, and Iowa's pretty okay. For those of you who don't know, I grew up most of my life in Iowa. Yeah, actually, that's a bold faced lie. I lived for. I will always feel like I'm from Iowa. My family, both sides of my family, are from Iowa, and I lived in Iowa for 10 years. So, but I always feel Iowan. I'm a Hawkeyes fan. Always will be a Hawkeyes fan. Although, big fan of the Grizz. Not the Grizz. Oh my gosh, what did I say? The Grizz. And I almost said Bearcats because I went to University of Cincinnati, which is Bearcats. The Bobcats. My son goes to MSU. He's Bobcatting. First year there, we won the national title. Would you get Centauri Carbon for first print or a Big Gulp and import bamboo for double the price? The only printer off the shelf here in South Africa is Creality, and keep hearing don't touch that. I wouldn't. Creality is really hit or miss. And in being where you are and the kind of prices you're probably going to have to pay, I would not go with Creality. I don't know. Here's what I would do: is I would look at what it's like for you to be able to get replacement parts from bamboo, because bamboo has a much larger community. So even if their support sucks, and I've had good luck with their support, but even if it did, you have a huge community out there you can reach out to that will help you. And they usually have figured everything out. In fact, 9 times out of 10, I can go to Chat GPT, type in what the problem is, and it goes, "Oh, here it is. This is what everyone says the problem is. Here's how you fix it." And it's right. And it's not right about a lot of stuff. I think the Centauri Carbon is an excellent first printer. I really do. but I don't know what supply chains are like in South Africa, so it's really hard for me to answer that. Attorney says 3D Farmers now has fan, bed, flexor, and door opening for the P series. They do, and I have followed that, but I still do not believe that it will do full release on my trays. My trays are about that big, flat on the bed, low, and they're low profile. I don't think because I tested. I went back and I let it sit there, and then I did my own flex with it, and it did not fully release. I have to take the things out and give it a little double flex to get them to fully release. Um, Believe it or not, I printed PLA CF on my Ender 3 series printer. I've seen people do some wild stuff. Tin Talon says hi. And Kerbelat says, I live somewhere with 42C, 108 summers, and negative 37 winters. That's pretty much me exactly. It is we'll get that cold in the winter, and we'll easily get that hot in the summer. Not for long periods of time. There's usually like one week over the summer we'll hit 108 right around there, and then we'll get one week. We'll get 3 weeks usually. This past winter we didn't have winter. Winter just went right past us. It's like screw you. I'm gonna go do the East Coast. You know, I was like, you have fun with that. But most winters we get a solid 3 weeks sub-zero, and at least one of those weeks in the like negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's unreal. Oh, it's just so bitterly cold. And we get wind like you would not believe. We're the windiest place in all of Montana, one of the windiest cities in the United States. It will rip, like you'll see cars with a crease next to the front door because somebody's opened the door, the wind's caught it and folded the door forwards. Anyway, I'm using PLA interface to eliminate post-processing stuff, and exactly that's where it's at. In fact, my son is looking to do that. He's designing, and he's going to sell finger snowboards to the kids at school, but they have the little lip on the end. And so I told him, like, look, just print them in PLA, but then put PETG in there and print supports in PETG, and it'll come right off. And you can have the lip and not be fighting with supports. Craftwork says, I'm in Iowa too. Woo! Let's go. The Wohawk says, I'm in Conesville, Iowa, basically south of Iowa City. There's a channel out of Kelowna who jumped back into 3D printing. Michael in the backyard. He just films whatever he's doing. Cool guy. That doesn't sound interesting. Nat says, I couldn't recommend Centauri Carbon if you want to print a lot of high temp materials, ABS and ASA. I can't recommend it as a default printer, but I actually have a guy that I know. In fact, I sold my Centauri Carbon to him. He's out of Wyoming, and he makes, he's got his own small print farm, and he makes molds for corporate customers who then, and he does it all in ABS, and he does all Centauri Carbons. And what he's done, he's modified, I think it's called the bento box. And basically it's a chamber heater for 3D printers. And there's a version for the Centauri Carbon. So you can add a chamber heater to the Centauri Carbon. In fact, I'm looking around, it's around here somewhere. It's right there. BQ just came out with a chamber heater. I know it works with all the P series. I don't know if it works with the Centauri Carbon. I'll have to double check. But that's an option to take the Centauri Carbon 1 up to the next level. Turney says, I'm in Iowa too. Crazy how many of us in this chat. That is funny. Craftworks is in the Des Moines, Iowa area. I grew up mostly in the Des Moines area. I had family in Indianola. I had family up near Ames, Clear Lake, a bunch of other cities. But I went to Windsor Elementary. I went to was it Merrill Middle School, junior high, Merrill junior high, and then I was enrolled over at Roosevelt, and then moved to Omaha. I think he's rocking a P2S H2 something. His last video was maintenance processing. And Kerbal says, so given the temperature humidity ranges slated previously, would it be okay to run a print farm in a shed with no heating? No. No, no. That cold, they can't handle that. I have climate control here. I have insulation and climate control. I have a really big 220-volt electric heater over there. I have full insulation, and I keep it. I don't let it get any lower than 65 or any hotter than 80 in here. But it depends on 515 area code. Rise up. Oh my gosh. Tuba, don't tell me you're in Iowa too. You can't be. I won't believe that. But it's like one thing I've given up on. This is going to be heresy. I've totally given up on worrying about whatchamacallit, not filament, the desiccant. Right now I don't need desiccant because my ambient humidity in here is 10. It's Montana, and it rarely gets higher. I think I've hit 25 one time. I still have to dry stuff when I get it in because I can get it in from someplace that has wet filament. And not really a problem with bamboo. Bamboo is usually pretty dry, but like the stuff I just got in from Anycubic, I had to dry all of that. Eric says, I've been to Iowa. If that counts, it's good enough for me. Just to answer my question, can you put a chamber heater in the CC? You can. There's not a default like from the factory one, but he makes money with it, so there's a way to do it. Hey, I'm worried about the PLA burning next to me in the office. Will it cause health issues? I would always run with an air filter, but PLA is considered to be safe. The stuff that it puts out is not really considered to be a toxin, but I err on the better side of caution. I also smoked a lot of crap when I was younger, so I worry about my lungs at this point. So I don't take any chances. I run air filters at home. I run air filters here at the shop. I always have an air filter set up. So they're not that expensive to get one and run it, and they do a great job. Let's see here. The Mike says, I'm going to print with PLA plus PET G in my basement. How much do I need to worry about ventilation? The PLA, not so much. I don't know about PLA plus. PET G, you want to, it's not bad. It's not as bad as everything else. It's not, oh, sorry. It's not as bad as everything else. Hold on just a moment, please. Are you watching my live stream? Are you watching my live stream? She can't hear me. Apparently it's my daughter calling. So I know it's not professional, but I always answer when my kids call. What's going on? Oh my gosh. Calling to make sure I order her a new Apple Pen. I'm live streaming. I just outed you to everybody. Yeah. She's crying in tears. Wait, let me FaceTime you, then everyone can see you. All right, I got to get back to it. I will order your pen. I love you. Bye. She's a little artist on her tablet, and her pen just died, so I told her I'd get her new pen. Mike, I would get an air filter. It doesn't cost that much. Just run one just to be safe. Nat says, I'm in Wyoming too. The problem with the CC is it doesn't mesh the bed at printing temps, so it doesn't do well with the bed deformation when you're out at 110 without running custom code. I haven't taken it that far. You probably know better than me. The HG says, wait, come on, there we go. Hey man, because of you and your channel, I decided to get into 3D printing. I currently have several printers, especially bamboo, and can't say this enough. Thank you. That's awesome. I'm really glad. It is a great hobby. I've been involved in the hobby on and off for over 10 years. And when it first started, I was all about the machines because I love to tinker. I used to love. I love to tinker, but I'm burned out on fixing 3D printers. And Bamboo Lab pulled me back into this, and they've stimulated the rest of the economy or the industry to up it to a level where it's hard to find a bad 3D printer at this point. People are like, well, what's the print quality like? Dude, if it's a modern 3D printer, if especially if it's an enclosed 3D printer, but even most of the bed slingers these days, good luck telling the difference. If there was a blind test, I bet most of you could not tell the difference. Maybe people like Tuba and me who evaluate all these different styles of 3D printers, we could probably figure it out. But even then, it would be, I think it's that one, might be this one, who knows? It's I always say a rising tide floats all boats. We are in a golden age of 3D printing. The Rocky says no on the shed. I tried to do my small form factor last summer in our shed, and it was way too hot. Yeah. Now maybe you could figure out an AC, maybe a heat pump. Even a heat pump won't work that well that cold. For those of you who don't know, heat pumps can do AC and heating by the differentiation in temperatures on both sides. But when it gets that cold, they can't even keep up. But I guess a space heat or something, you could figure. There's a way you could do it. There's always a way. When there's a will, there's a way. Or, as the orcs say, when there's a whip, there's a way. Wohawk says, I'm an Eagle Scout from Riverside, future birthplace of Captain Kirk. Hell yeah. Anyway, so I'm 319 area code, but all 2 years of my now 48. I don't talk about the 2 NC years. Tuba says, no, I'm from the KC area, originally from Bondurant. KC, I remember fond memories. Used to go to Worlds of Fun. My family, that was one of the big things. We'd go down to KC, catch a baseball game because there's no pro sports in Iowa. So we'd go down to KC to see the Royals and hit up Worlds of Fun. Had a great time in my youth. And now I live in a state where not only is there no professional sports, none of the states around me have a professional sport. Think of that. That's how isolated Montana is. Let's see here. 5:20 p.m. here in Australia, East Coast, 26C with an RH of 46. Ooh, 46. Any recommendations? Move to Perth? I mean, are you talking about recommendations on how to deal with the humidity? The temp, 79 degrees is fine. The humidity, you're going to, and that's why I'm a big fan of enclosed printers with AMS style controls, because you have full environmental control. It could be 100 degrees humidity in here, but everything I print with has an AMS, except for my new snap maker. We'll have to figure that one out. Daughter always wins over dad no matter what. Yes, she does. She's the princess. Can you remember a good air filter, sir? Yeah, the Govee, Govee. Again, they make an air filter monitor, and they make an air filter system that will talk to each other, and it has an app. So I could probably hold on. I can even show you on the app what my air is if I can find it. I haven't looked. It's one of these things. I get it running, and I have a whole bunch of Govee stuff. You can see all this. I've got my air purifier, my air quality monitor. I have all these lights back here are Govee. I have a water sensor in my basement. I have a thermometer in my basement. I have a light in my living room, and I have a heater in my basement. So and I'm a kind of a fanboy of it. But like, if we look at my air quality, there's my air quality going on right now. I don't know if you can see that at all, but it bounces back and forth in the air, and then it kicks on the air purifier, and I'm all good. So it's a great system that I just don't have to think about it. And then all I have to do is pay attention to when I need a new filter. And I try to order 3 or 4 filters in advance. So I just go and swap one off the rack and back in business. The daughter I was with moved out of KC 15 years ago. So glad. I did that. Weather is and actually, I've got a good friend who lives up here who's from KC. He still drives a. Oh no, he's from St. Louis. I'm sorry, my bad. He drives a Cardinal red Chevy pickup truck with the matching topper with St. Louis Cardinal logos all over it. Anyway, Stubbs is not from Iowa, from upstate New York, but currently on a van ride in southern Vietnam. Well, I say upstate New York is beautiful. I love upstate New York. I would love to go to Vietnam. I've heard great things. Vietnamese is one of my top 5 favorite cuisines, maybe top 3. Um, anyway, let's see here. Let's see here. Warhawk says doesn't help fumes, but a 20-inch box fan with a correct size furnace filter does a great deal for getting dust out of there. And you can get a HEPA one that will get rid of the VOCs. That is an option. Cool air filter, thanks. It's a lot easier than figuring out how to run some sort of vent to the outside. You can't really see it. I've got really small windows that are high up, and getting the vent run was a real pain in the backside. The only reason I had it run was I was running a laser cutters in here, and I just kept it around for just such uses. Love the dad vibes. Yeah, my kids are everything. I love my kids. My oldest is turning 20 this year. He's at college. The daughter is the middle, which I love. That's why she doesn't feel left out in the middle, because she's the princess. She's going to be 17 this year. And my youngest, he is going to turn 15 this year. He is an all-out wrestler. Actually, he's at the Arnold with his mom right now over in Ohio's. So they're having a lot of fun doing that. The 2 years in NC, let's see here. I'll be getting, Ron says, I'll be getting my first 3D printer, Bamboo Lab P2S is the one I've chosen. It's a great printer. You can't go wrong with that. JW says, someone on Maker World has a 4-inch magnetic exhaust port that you can print and run flexible tubing out a window. I have seen that, and those are really cool. It's not something I need, but I definitely, and I've seen it for also like woodworkers using stuff like that as well. Dad's job was a vet, so I was at Bragg at least once a month. Order from Best Buy or Bamboo Lab for P2S. I would order from Bamboo Lab unless you want to be able to physically just go and pick it up. I think with Bamboo Lab, the benefit is they keep track of it on the like I can go to Bamboo Lab for customer service and I can pull up every printer that I've purchased. In fact, on most of and I have 9 of the P1Ss, I bought one and then I bought a second one and then I bought 3. And right after I bought those 3, they dropped the price. And I was able to go back to Bamboo Lab and they price matched and sent me a refund. And then I bought 3 more at the new lower price, and then they lowered the price again and they price matched again. So that's what I really like, because it's already in their system. You already have it approved. Anyway, it's up to you, but that's why I buy from Bamboo Lab. Craig says, I got bit by the 3D bug at the beginning of the year, partially due to you and a few other things. I have a CC1 and an A1. I find the CC to be a bit fiddly, but the Bamboo just goes. I would agree with that assessment. I do love the CC1. I used it mainly for doing, I called it my ranch hand, because I would have all my other printers working on stuff that I'm selling, but for stuff I needed around the shop, I would print all the accessories and everything. I'd print tags, I'd print poop buckets, I'd print the waste cans, all that kind of stuff, risers, all that I printed with the CC1. And other than, a little bit of fiddly bitness, I thought it was great. The only thing I had that was more fiddly than that was the Cheedy Q1 or Q2, the Cheedy Q2. And I had the new Cheedy box, the second version of it. And that was fantastic. I never had a problem with that. But I think most of what I had were issues with updates to firmware because it was early on and they were still catching up on the firmware. And I see this with a lot of products where it's not quite polished yet, and as being there on the bleeding edge, as it were, you get cut. So I've heard good things from it. I still think for those of you looking to print like commercial ABS and stuff like that, but you want a budget box, the Cheaty box is one you should be looking at. It is going to be a little more fiddly than a bamboo, but you get a lot for the money there. Are you running Home Assistant? Hold on. Are you running Home Assistant? Should give all those IoT things. I don't run Home Assistant. I run the She Who Shall Not Be Named, and it handles all that kind of stuff. It's one thing I have not switched over to. In fact, I just got this. I had the original mini, the little hockey puck looking one, and it finally just had too many problems and updates and stuff. So I just chucked it and bought a new one. I still need to set it up. But it's great because like all my studio lights, the lights back here. In fact, I have a program set up that when I walk in, I can say, "Hey, she who shall not be named." That's the Alexa person. Turn on studio, and all the lights and everything I need power up. And when I leave, I say, "Turn off studio," and everything powers down. It's very convenient for me. And like the light above my head, I can say, "Hey, turn on." It's called a hair light in video. Turn on hair light because I don't leave it on all the time. I turn it off, and I have that hooked up with a whole bunch of stuff. The Stubb says, "I'm a field service engineer. I didn't want to fix anything on a side gig, so I didn't buy a printer until the H2 series came out." Yeah, I get that. It's like, whose house needs the most work? Usually a carpenter. Jedi says, "I saw your video about the ammo cases, and I'm wondering what filament you prefer for printing them. I like my Govee airproof." For the ammo boxes, I would recommend PET G, and I'm pretty sure this is PET G because this is a live hinge, so it gets a lot of flex. PLA, that's eventually going to stress and break off. With PET G, it'll keep working just fine. And if you drop it, it's not going to crack and stuff like that, like you could possibly have, because this thing's pretty heavy when it's got stuff in it. Wohawk, oh, he's talking to Wohawk. Jedi says, "I'm on the West Coast in LA. I'm so sorry. I am not a fan of LA, and I've spent so much time in LA as part of work. I had to go down there all the time. We have the largest concentration of Vietnamese here. I've been down. Love me some banh mi and pho. Yeah, the bao, not the bao. What is it? I always forget how to pronounce it. Well, first of all, the Cafe Soda, the Vietnamese coffee, absolute crack. But and pho is okay. But I get like the pork and rice noodles, and with the duck sauce, and so I love that stuff. I lived in San Francisco for 20 years, so we had a fairly well established Vietnamese audience there, or not audience, or people. We had in Belgrade, which is up here in Montana. There was a Chinese restaurant near the airport, but the family that ran it wasn't actually Chinese; they were Vietnamese, and they had a secret Vietnamese menu. And I could go up there and I could get all my favorite Vietnamese food, and it was awesome. They sold the restaurant, and now it's just straight Chinese. And I went in there to order, and they're like, "We don't know what you're talking about." Oh, that's so sad. The Go to my first event to sell 3D prints this weekend. Your videos have been a huge help. Thank you. Hey, let me know how it goes. I would love to hear feedback on what worked for you, what didn't work, and what you thought of the event, and that kind of stuff. Let's see here. I just lost my place. Oh, there we go. Man, my H2C was so well packaged. Absolute engineering marvel for how well it was packed. I will say that nobody packs machine the way Bamboo Lab does. Not that I've seen. Elegoo was pretty good, honestly. The everything else has been sufficient. The packing on the Anycubic the interior was really good. I was surprised. The interior was really good. In fact, they used They used Loctite. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've done the bamboo, but did the bamboo have Loctite on the interior screws? Because each of these screws had a ½ inch of Loctite. I had to fight those suckers to get them out. And they were way back in there on the sides, a real pain to get to. Well packaged. The outside was like saran wrapped. It was kind of weird. Plus, it had the foam and everything else. Well, it was decently packed. Not to the level of bamboo, but much better than stuff I've seen in the past. If you have Best Buy warranty, think it's a monthly one. It'll cover pretty much anything that goes wrong with it. The Ashley says, so the best all-around printer would be the P2S with the AMS for the beginner and pricing. Probably the best, like future-proof, long-term. You don't have to think about it. I'm a big fan if you're of the P1S because they're still selling it. They say they're going to support it for the next, oh my God, until 2032 or 34, something like that. And at the price, $400 for the base, $550 with the basic AMS. It's just a workhorse of a printer. But the P2S has a lot more features to it. It's got a lot more AI, future-proof kind of stuff. I would definitely do something there. The Q2 is a doozy sometimes, but if you get a good one, you're in business. For an enclosed printer, it's really hard to beat the P2S with it and the AMS too. That's true. And recently, I did have to fight with 2 of my AMS with broken filament inside. I did a video on tearing down an AMS and redoing the board and stuff on it. So getting one open and doing that isn't that hard, but it's nice being able to just pop open the AMS too, pull out the PTFE tube, blow out the filament, and pop it back in, rather than taking the whole thing out and putting it back. Best Buy and Amazon sell at the same price as Bamboo Lab, and they offer some financing options that might have been doing some shopping around. 3D printer. Hey, 3D printer and Mike is in the house. Another great channel you have to subscribe to. Tuba makes 3D printer Mike. You got to go subscribe to these guys. All right. 3D printer Mike is great for getting you all the latest news. Every Friday, he gets up at the butt crack of dawn and does the 3D printer news for the week. So you got to check him out. And he's got a life-size droid that he printed, all sorts of cool stuff. He does mostly FDM, but he's done resin. I think he started with resin. Tuba makes, he does mostly resin stuff. But anyway, check him out. Anyway, he says the Q2 is a doozy. That's one we were just talked about. He says, and what you're saying is I need more LEDs powered by Mr. Bezos. You always need more LEDs. In fact, I had more LEDs. I ended up not using them because my audience just really care. And of course, my son now has them in his dorm at college. It's a freaking disco epileptic nightmare in there. I was thinking about getting some smart plugs for each printer in a print farm. That way I could potentially control what devices are on. That's not a terrible idea if you want to do that. I have my print farm divided into 2 wings, half on one side, half on the other. And all of them go into, one wing goes into one power station. The other wing goes into a different power station. I have access to both those power stations through the apps on my phone. So I can pull up my phone and I can power stuff and turn stuff on and off as needed. I don't often need to, but sometimes I have done it. But it's not a terrible idea. Like a lot of my stuff, my light over there, now that's a different AC unit. My previous one, I had it. I got some other stuff back here that is set up on it, but I have these little plugs. I don't know if I've got one here that I'm a big fan of. They're, I'm trying, I think they're, here we go. These smart plugs. I think they're TP Link. TP Link is a great product, by the way. They make a ton of great stuff, great quality at good prices. It's TP Link, but I think it's the Casa brand from TP Link. And you just do, the barcode with your phone. It links it. You can also turn it on and off physically here, but it connects to your phone, so you can turn it on and off, or you can use it through any one of the voice control assistants. And it really makes automating all this stuff really great. Let's see here. Hold on, let me come down here. I got an Echo Dot for Christmas. Renamed it Computer. Did I mention future birthplace of? Yes, you did. What's your thoughts on the Snapmaker U1 for a print farm? Snapmaker just sent me the U1. It's in a box at my house. I have not, hold on, let me fold my arm. There we go. So I can be comfortable. I have not opened it yet. I have watched a ton of videos on it, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's an excellent printer. I went with Bamboo because I have a really, if there's anything I should be doing a YouTube channel on, it's business. I should be coaching business because that is my peak skill set. I was a chief operating officer for a tech firm in Silicon Valley, and I walked away from offers for being CEOs for startups and companies because I wanted to focus on my family. So I've made it pretty high in the business world, and I've done everything from startups, .coms to working with established businesses. I've done consulting. I still do consulting. And what I'm going to say is I look at this as a business because that's what it is. It's kind of a hobby, but it's a hobby business. All right. And I went with the BAM. I know it's a long answer to like, should you get the Snapmaker? Here's the deal with the Snapmaker. It's a company that's really known for making good hardware. They made a smart choice by going with the open source software. So that kind of fixes that problem for them because they're kind of missing that leg, and that kind of is a nice artificial leg for them, if you would. But service, support, community, spare parts, long-term reliability of the product, those are all giant question marks. The community, if you go on Reddit and look how big the Snapmaker community is, look how big the Creality community is, look how big the Prusa community is, then look how big the Bamboo community is. The Bamboo community is bigger than all the other 3D printing communities combined. There's that many of them out there, which means that's a resource for me if I have a problem. Okay, I can reach out to that community. I can get that. I can order almost any part from a Bamboo. I can order online and get it replaced within a week. All right. And can I do that with Snapmaker? I don't know, honestly, at this point. If they're going to have that kind of availability, how long is it going to be around? How long are they going to make it? The P1S, which has been out for years, they've already said they're going to continue through 32 or 34. Is Snapmaker going to support the U1 that long? As a hobby machine, it should be in everyone's checklist of ones to look at. It may not be right for you, but you should definitely consider it. As a business, you can make that call. I did not. Let's see here. Kerbla says, I went from 3 to 4 year old Ender 3 S1 to an H2C. That's a huge leap, isn't it? And I remember when the Enders came out, how glorious they were. But they are as far from my old, the first one I ever bought was a Da Vinci XY. And then my second printer I built from a kit and was a Delta style, some Chinese knockoff Delta style. And I had to muddle through the Marlin myself to get it to hit zero right and to do all this stuff. And I basically had to go through all of the code to get that thing to work right. And it was a joy to watch print. I still will just sit there and watch a Delta style printer print because they're beautiful. But the difference from that to the Ender was night and day. You know, I'm like, what? I just set this up, I do this, and then I attach that, and I'm ready to go. And then I got the X1C was the first fully enclosed that I got, and I'm like, this is a machine. I always said I want an appliance. At this point in my life, I want an appliance. I want a toaster. I don't want to create my own wiring jig and then connect it to mains and have it heat up and then have to fix it and fix it as it goes and then hope I get something and spend more of my time fixing it or building it than I do using it. I want a toaster. I want to put bread in, I want to press the button, and I want toast. And that is what Bamboo has created. And then they've lifted everyone else up because they had to compete. So now everyone's doing Core XY and this level of printer and stuff. And I think it's fantastic. The Craftworks says, love 3D printer news of the week. Yep, got to check him out. He's got great stuff. Tapo from a link is Matter Compact, kind of like a step up from Casa. If you say so. I've not used them. I've had a kilowatt on my A1 to see how much it costs to run it. Turns out electricity in Iowa is pretty cheap, so don't really use that much. I was worried about, so we moved I was in California for 20 years, moved to Vegas, and then moved up here. We had the house here. We'd had the house here for forever. But we got, during when COVID hit, Vegas got weird. And I was like, I'm getting my kids out of here. We're going to go someplace sane. So we went to Montana and never went back, except for, going to shows and stuff like that. But the what was I just saying? The electricity cost. My place here, which is, I've got 9-foot ceilings, and it's about the size of a 3-car garage. A deep 3-car garage is about the space that I have here. And my cost, AC in the summer, heater in the winter. I run a little space heater down here when it's kind of in between. It's kind of cold, but I don't want to run the full heater. I've got a 300-watt studio light. I've got my other studio lights. I've got my hair lights. I got all currently 3 P1Ss, 1 P2S, 3 H series, and the Cobra Max S1 currently running. All of this, my electrical bill for this place has never topped $250 for the month. And I think that was like in the darkest depths of winter with the full heat running constantly kind of thing. Anyway, so electricity is cheap in Montana. And one thing, I was talking about with the power stations, with that thing that I do, if you do live in an area that's expensive and you're like, oh, I don't want to do solar, stuff like that, I get that. But with a power station, what you can do is, on the good ones, on the app, you can set it to tell it when to charge from the wall, so that it will turn off during the day when electricity is expensive and then charge at night. And then you run your printers off the batteries during the day, and then the batteries charge at night. And that's how you save money and get cheaper electricity. And you get protection for your printers that way. It looks like most of the parts for U1 are available on the website now. Don't know what shipping is like. Good news. Bamboo told me P1S was entering end of use. Well, that's interesting, because they just released an announcement saying that they were going to support it until 32 or 34. The Ender 3 Pro H2S. The Ender 3 is why some people quit 3D printing forever, and at some time why some love it. Now the H series blows the mind of all Ender users. Mike, I see so many people online are like, I was there back in the old days of the Enders. And I'm like, the Enders were a godsend. What are you talking about? I'm like, oh yeah, you never had to deal with the crap we had to deal with. Kerbal says Bamboo is the Apple, the 3D printer world. It just works. Don't have to faff around. Okay, understand this, and I totally agree with this statement. I started at 57. I started in the 70s with a Commodore VIC-20. I then got a Commodore 64. I didn't have a computer for a while, and then I got into the Intel stuff. And the first computer I ever built was an AMD. I think it was a P200. I had computers before that. I had a 286, a 386, a 386DX, a 486, and then I got the Pentium. But the Pentium was the first one I built entirely from scratch. I guess actually technically it was an AMD. And I've been building and maintaining computers. I professionally for work, I was on Windows for Workgroups 3.11. I was on the first group rolling out Windows NT 4.0. I had my MCSE, my CSA, my CCSE. I'm a Linux for some things, but PC for everything else, hardcore. And then last year, I'd heard all these people talking about, because I used DaVinci Resolve, and I heard all these people talking about using Mac. And so I picked up an M1 base, M1 Mac Mini for $100 on Facebook Marketplace, and I tried it for. I'm like, I'll just try it for a week. I used it for a month, and my main computer that I used for my desktop video editing, everything else, was a latest. I like it was a year. Okay, no, it was going on about 3 years old, but it was an i7. It had 96 gigs of RAM. It had every upgrade you could possibly think of. I'd added, high, like super high speed, USB cards to it. It had a juggernaut of a video processor, and all of it. I mean, I was a gamer from way back. The tech industry I worked in was video games. I made video games in San Francisco, like major ones. We worked with, we did Sega's World Series Baseball was the first one I worked on, and I did stuff with pretty much any of the major, games that you've heard out there, probably um, console games. And anyway, and so I tried this Mac, and I immediately like, fuck it. I bought a Mac Mini Pro with 64 gigs of RAM. I'd already had iPhones, and that was kind of what prompted me was I'm okay. I'm gonna check out this Mac thing. So now for a year I've been running on the Mac Mini. I bought a MacBook Air, and it's for the same reason. It just works. I don't have to faff around with anything, and that's why I like Bamboo. At this point, I've got other stuff to do, so I need stuff that works. I'm a really busy guy between my family and my businesses and the nonprofits and stuff that I volunteer with. I got to get stuff done. So Mike says, I think I'd like to trade electric bills this summer. Mike lives in Arizona, so hell's to the no. That is not happening. My dad's family lived in Phoenix. I used to go down there, spend my summers down there. And I know how hot it gets. And I lived in Vegas, so that's not happening. They're now up in where are they at? I can't remember the name of the town they're in. Up in the mountains. So they're Prescott. They're in Prescott. I'm trying to catch up with the comments. The Ender 3, okay, we're talking about Bamboo's the Apple. We're talking P1P is end of life, yes, with parts through 2031. And most of the parts on the P1P are the same as the P1S. Solar and Powerwall for the win, although not sure I'll ever buy anything Tesla ever again. I'd be interested to hear your story on why you don't like Tesla. Until I moved to Montana, I wanted was it the X, whatever it's called, the Tesla Model X. I wanted one of those in the worst way. How the battery with the heat beds? They're not bad. The only thing is and you have to do this even with most electricity because you don't want to blow a circuit, is I have to make sure that I pace the prints, because as I start a group of prints and I've got it down, I can get them going pretty fast, and I have tripped the breaker because they all heat up basically essentially at the same time. So I'll send a print job to one bank, and then I'll send one to the other bank, and then I'll tell she who shall not be named to set a timer for 5 minutes. And then I'll do the next series, and then I'll do the next series, and then I'll do the next series. And it's not a problem. I do have to watch out with the H series because those ramp up faster with more power draw. 250 is an average bill for power in a 2-bedroom apartment in Vegas. Oh man, I don't take this wrong. I hate Vegas. I hate it with a passion. Boulder City, on the other hand, is fantastic. Boulder City, it's like Livingston in the desert. It is this great retirement community with lots of great restaurants. You can eat outdoors. The weather's always decent. You can go down to the river. I'm not a fan of the lake, but I'll go down to the river all the time. And then if I want to do something in Vegas, I just hop over the mountain and I'm in Vegas. And then I can get out of Vegas. The thing I hate about Vegas is you can't go anywhere without there being a casino feel to it. Even you go to a restaurant or bar and there's, slot machines, which is also a problem here in Montana. Every gas station's got a casino attached, but they don't have any casino stuff. They don't allow any casinos and no strip clubs in Boulder City, and so it's nice and it's clean, and it's low crime and people are polite, and it's a great place. I love Boulder City. I lived in Summerlin when I lived there, and the people there are pretentious assholes. If I were to live there, I would live in Boulder City, maybe in Henderson. That's the only two places I would consider. Um, I should probably buy a house there again, because of how often I have to go down there for trade shows. I could probably just Airbnb it out when I'm not using it. Maybe I should do that. Um, the Let's see. I remember growing up way back in the 20th. Yeah. Kerbelet says, my first computer was a Sinclair ZX81 and then moved into a Spectrum, then Atari ST. I remember playing Crush Crumple Chomp on the Atari ST my buddy had. Remember the days of 386DX computers had turbo buttons. Yeah. The Sinclair, I remember going down to the local, was it Radio Shack? Somebody had them, and they had a flight simulator, and I loved that flight simulator. Kraftwerk says my first computer was a Tandy PC, returned it and got a Gateway 2000 386 SX. Yes, back when Gateway existed, when for the cows, it still had 2000 in the name. Yeah, I just watched the thing on the fall of Gateway. That's really sad. They were a great system based out of Iowa. Wohawk, our first PC was the Atari version of the Apple II. Dad hated Apple from the start. Yeah, Apple was just expensive, man. I couldn't. That's why I was a VIC 20 person. I couldn't afford an Apple. The and Let's see here. Given bamboo's reels tend to tape the end of their filament to the reel, have you used any solutions to this mess? I've not noticed that they do that anymore. I know that was a thing, but none of the stuff that I order. Maybe that's something they do with PLA or something, but with PETG, they don't do that. At least I order in bulk. Never seen that tape on the end of the reel. And I've got some other stuff. I've never seen a reel that has tape on the end of it. Cow theme PC covers. I don't know if the PC itself had covers, but the box came with a cow motif. The Tesla isn't bad. It's the person who runs it. Sorry, I don't want to go there. No, we're not going to get into politics. We can go on that all day. He doesn't run it though. He's just a shareholder for years now. Wohawk says there's at least 2, maybe 3 Cybertrucks in Iowa City. One is not the shiny stainless color. That's how I know there's at least 2. There's a few Cybertrucks around here. I was really excited about the Cybertruck when they announced it. And then when it came out and it didn't have the range and it wasn't as big as they were making it to look out to be, I was like, yeah, Scummerland. Yeah. Buy a house in Prump. It'll be cheaper and only an hour. Prump is too far for me. And it is too seedy for me. And trust me, I have lived in about I've lived off of International in Oakland. I found out that what's his name? The one terrorist the 9/11 terrorist, that he was killed from the hooker who hung out in our parking lot. She's the one who told me that they got him, and I was like, serious? And went inside. Sure enough, it was an old automobile plant that they had converted to apartments, and they'd put these prefab luxury condo style stuff up on top, and we had armed security, but getting there, you still had to go through all of Oakland, and it was funny because the ground level was all ghetto level shops, and then they had this high level stuff up top. But when we moved there, I carried in all my guns. I used to be a firearms instructor, and I had all sorts of stuff, and all the guys there saw me carrying this stuff in, and I found out later that I was the crazy white dude who was probably going to start shooting people from the rooftops guy, and that's why they all avoided me, and I never had any problems with the gangs. When you get how do you tune the parameters? Well, I don't have to, because I found the filament that works for me. I'm in Bamboo ecosystem. I went with Bamboo Filament. So, but what you can do is, if you have to tune it, it's just the same way you do with laser printers. Is you create test samples, test beds, and you vary for each piece on the bed, the speed and the heat and all the variables. And then when it's done, you can pull it out and you can look at it and go, okay, that's the one that looks like what I want. And you can incorporate into the print what it is, what its settings are, so you know exactly what settings you need. And you can even keep those for later use if you want a different look or something. Excuse me, guys and gals, if there are any. Oh. All right, here's what I will say. I sent a print job to my printer, and it said it was going to be finished in 2.5 hours, and that was at, actually, I guess it was at 10. By the time I sent it, it was 10. So I thought I sent it at 9, but it was 10. So anyway, we'll figure it out. Hey, love your content. You showed up on my feed a month ago and have been watching since. First time catching you live. Want to ask you a question. I'm a 3D artist that was a hobbyist in 3D printing for about 2 years. I started an Etsy store last year, and I'd love some tips on how to expand my store. Well, here's the deal. I'd have to know what you're printing, who your audience is, how you're marketing this. Are you just marketing through Etsy? But I'm not an Etsy expert, and I'm not going to pretend to be. All right. That's one thing you'll find on any of my channels. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to tell you I don't know the answer. But what I have done, I did a lot of research, and I actually do have an Etsy store. I just ended up not using it because I don't need it. But what I would say is this. Everyone I've seen who is successful on Etsy pays for advertising on Etsy. So that's something you're going to have to do. As far as the products and stuff like that, really depends on what you're selling. Scotty says you cannot Airbnb in Pahrump. Not enough businesses. Tourists want to go an hour away. The only people you could possibly Airbnb to is if you marketed it correctly. It's the people who go out there to the racetrack to that. But they I think they stay on. I think they have like condos there. They live on site when they're there. If you don't know, there is like a summer camp for race cars in Pahrump, and you can go out there for like a couple weeks and live the life of like an IndyCar racer. You're not racing Indy cars, but they're like lower versions of them. But like you get up in the morning, you go to breakfast with all the teams, and then you go to drivers meetings, and then they teach you about this, that, and then you go out and you run tracks, and then you come back and you do lunch, and then you do a coach recap. It is really cool. I would really love to do that sometime. Just me geeking out. Aren't all Cybertrucks rust colored now? They're stainless. So I know stainless can rust, but man, have you ever been to SEMA? SEMA is just all Cybertrucks at this point. 3D printer Mike. Okay, that's my biggest issue with that printer. If it's the same one, had a 27-hour one take 45 hours. Other than that, it's been good. There are some printers out there that will tell you, hey, it's only going to be like Snapmaker has a real problem with this, and they know it and they're working on it. But this is the Cobra S1 Max, the big one. My son has, so I had two A1s and the Bamboo X1C. And I've since phased all those out. We gave one of the A1s to a friend's kid for he got some really good grades or something, so we gave it to him. And then I gave the other one to a friend's daughter who's going to engineering school, and she'd been talking about a 3D printer, so I gave it to her. But the X1C I gave to my son, and he uses it at home. And as soon as he even heard about the S1 Max, he was like, "You're not going to keep that. That's going to be mine, right?" So he's probably going to end up with that one. Then I don't know what's going to happen to the X1C because he doesn't have room for it. But I think I've got some other friends around town who probably going to pick that one up. Let's see here. Is there a way to do customized prints per sale on Etsy or other online stores? I don't know. I believe that you can. I believe I've seen personalized options on Etsy, but I don't do that, so I can't answer that. Craftworks, I'm really sorry and let you down there. Craftworks says the difficult part on Etsy is finding products that stand out. I've sold a few varieties of items, but not much. I'm trying to get away from the seasonal stuff. And then I tend to run behind by the time I get stuff done. It's too late for the holidays. The other issue is for somebody like me is because I have a YouTube channel, I'd get a lot of people who aren't interested in my product, but just want to see what I'm selling, who would go there. And that traffic, because they wouldn't convert, Etsy would see that as lots of people coming and no one and few people buying. And I already have that issue with my website. But for my website, I don't care because I'm not looking for search results. I'm looking for people find me via YouTube, and then they go there. On Etsy, it's really hurt a lot of people who do YouTube because they've had that lowers their conversion rate so low that Etsy stops promoting them. So just be aware of that. Nat says U1 estimates have been closer after the last firmware release. That's good to know. 3D Permax says, yes, my S1 Max, same issue, but honestly, other than the filter being kind of a joke, been pretty positive. And yeah, the filter, there's just like a giant hole you throw a bag of charcoal in. It doesn't actually fill it up. But as I said, I'm not even going to put the charcoal in there because I don't care, because I have a room filter that cycles all the air in my room once every 20 minutes. So I think it's once every 20 minutes, or maybe it's, I don't remember, but I did the math when I got it, and it was where I needed it to be. In fact, it's overkill for my size space. Ray says, how would you sell a personalized product? Personalized products are basically, you sell it like any other product and you offer the option of personalizing it, unless it's some sort of product that I'm not picturing. But there's another YouTube channel, and I should be able to remember it, but I can't. I'm sure one of you guys can shout out. He's a really good channel, nice guy. I'm not talking to a person, but he seems nice enough. He sells, besides the little chihuahuas that he prints, and I hate chihuahuas with a passion. He sells personalized doorstops, which I think are the weirdest product in the world. Like, who needs a personalized doorstop? But kids probably like it, and he seems to sell a lot of them. So maybe find his channel and ask him. But as far as marketing, basically, unless it's something where the personalization is everything, then you just basically sell it as an item that you can add personalization to. Craftworks says the difficult part on Etsy is finding. Oh, that we talked about that. You estimates talk about that. You have same way. How would you know? There are options on Etsy to sell personalized products, and you can add variations to add. There you go. There's a way to do custom orders, but you need to set the shipping time out of ways. Yeah, that's gonna be right. Keo Prints. I knew Mike would get that. Keo Prints. Yeah, go check out. That's another good channel. Go check him out. He's got some good stuff as well. And anyway, I got to start wrapping things up. It's 12:12, and I have to be at the swap meet at 8. So I am up past my bedtime. I got to get out of here. You all probably have to go to bed. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Hopefully I helped a bunch of you out. If you like what we do here, don't forget to chomp the old like button, smash that subscribe, ring the bell on the way out. You all take care. God bless. And as always, shine on. Now let's see if I can find the door out of here. I got to figure out how to fix this chat issue.